In modern distributed workplaces, endpoint and mobile device management have become foundational pillars of security assurance. Endpoints, laptops, desktops, and mobile devices represent both the primary tools for productivity and the most common points of data exposure. Within the SOC 2 framework, controls for these assets align closely with CC6, logical access, and CC7, system operations and monitoring, emphasizing how organizations secure and maintain trust in a mobile-first world. The goal of endpoint and mobile device management, MDM, is to ensure consistent protection across every device accessing company systems, no matter where it's located. Encryption, configuration management, and continuous monitoring together provide the assurance that sensitive data remains secure even in decentralized, hybrid, or remote environments.
A secure device environment begins with accurate inventory management. Every endpoint, whether corporate-owned or part of a bring-your-own-device (BYOD) program, must be accounted for in a centralized asset register. This inventory should record ownership, operating system, hardware identifiers, and current security posture for each device. Integration with identity management systems allows real-time synchronization, ensuring that as users join or leave the organization, their associated devices are automatically tracked. Quarterly reconciliations verify that no unregistered or orphan devices exist, preventing unauthorized access points from lingering undetected. This level of detail not only supports compliance, but also provides a clear operational picture of the organization's digital footprint.
Provisioning and onboarding represent the first line of defense in the endpoint lifecycle. Devices should be securely imaged with standardized baseline configurations before being issued to users. Endpoint protection agents and MDM enrollment should be mandatory prior to distribution, ensuring immediate visibility and control. Default administrative privileges must be disabled to prevent accidental system changes or privilege escalation. Each step of the provisioning process, imaging, enrollment, and approval, should be documented and retained as evidence for auditors. This meticulous onboarding establishes a foundation of consistency and security from the moment a device enters the environment, closing the gap between acquisition and operational readiness. Configuration baselines define the minimum acceptable security posture for every endpoint. Organizations commonly use CIS benchmarks or vendor-provided standards as reference points, tailoring them to suit specific operational needs. Enforcing these baselines through MDM tools or configuration management platforms ensures uniformity across Windows, macOS, and mobile operating systems. When devices drift from these standards, whether through software changes or user modifications, automated remediation or ticketing workflows should correct the deviation promptly. Periodic compliance scans validate that baseline adherence remains consistent, providing quantifiable assurance of security hygiene. Configuration baselines turn what could be an ad hoc collection of devices into a disciplined, managed ecosystem. Encryption is the cornerstone of endpoint confidentiality. Every device capable of storing or accessing sensitive data must implement full disk encryption using modern algorithms such as AES-256, or built-in solutions like BitLocker for Windows and FileVault for macOS. Recovery keys should be securely stored within the MDM system or a centralized secrets vault to facilitate recovery without weakening protection. Quarterly verification reports confirm encryption status and ensure that no devices operate unencrypted. This not only protects lost or stolen hardware from data compromise, but also satisfies SOC 2 confidentiality criteria by proving that data remains safeguarded even outside physical control. Encryption converts every endpoint into a secure container, resilient against unauthorized access. Access control and authentication govern how users interact with their devices and the systems behind them. Integrating single sign-on, SSO, and multi-factor authentication ensures that device and application access align with centralized identity standards. Screen locks, inactivity timeouts, and password complexity rules prevent casual compromise. Shared accounts and unmanaged local logins should be explicitly prohibited, eliminating gaps in accountability. MDM dashboards provide real-time compliance visibility, allowing administrators to confirm adherence to access policies. These measures enforce the principle of least privilege across distributed environments, ensuring that identity and device security operate as one unified defense layer. Patch and update management remain among the most practical yet essential safeguards against endpoint vulnerabilities. Automated updates should cover both operating systems and key applications, reducing reliance on human intervention. Continuous monitoring of patch status across devices helps detect outdated software or unpatched vulnerabilities before they become entry points for attackers. Devices missing critical updates can be automatically quarantined until compliance is restored, maintaining the integrity of the overall fleet. Exceptions should be documented with explicit risk acceptance approvals, demonstrating that any deviation from policy is intentional, tracked, and time-bound. This process underscores the operational discipline SOC 2 expects from mature organizations. Endpoint detection and response, or EDR, represents the active defense layer for managed devices. Modern EDR, or Extended Detection and Response, XDR platforms, provide behavioral analytics, identifying anomalies and threats before they escalate. These tools continuously collect endpoint telemetry, allowing analysts to detect malicious activity even when traditional antivirus would miss it. Clear escalation paths ensure that alerts move quickly from detection to containment. Every event, whether benign or confirmed, should be logged and preserved as part of the evidence repository, forming a traceable record of operational vigilance. EDR transforms endpoints from passive risk sources into monitored components of a living, responsive defense network. Securing the network connections used by distributed teams is equally critical. Requiring a VPN or zero-trust network gateway ensures that all remote access passes through controlled, encrypted channels. Split tunneling should be restricted to prevent data leakage through unsecured paths. For sensitive systems, network segmentation limits exposure by isolating environments based on data classification. Connection logs from VPN or zero-trust systems provide visibility into who accessed what and when, offering valuable evidence for both security analysis and audits. In SOC terms, these controls demonstrate that network pathways to and from endpoints are as tightly governed as the devices themselves. Removable media and peripheral controls address a subtle but serious source of data exfiltration risk. USB storage devices, external drives, and other peripherals can bypass network defenses if unmanaged. Policies should disable or tightly restrict their use, permitting only encrypted and authorized devices. Every connection event should be logged, linking device identifiers to users for traceability. Exceptions, such as legitimate use for secure file transfers, must be formally approved and documented. This control prevents accidental data leaks, discourages shadow IT practices, and ensures that removable media usage remains auditable, contained, and policy-driven. Finally, continuous monitoring and alerting give endpoint management programs the visibility they need to adapt in real time. Health dashboards show compliance metrics such as encryption status, patch levels, and active agent coverage. Automated alerts flag non-compliant devices or unauthorized software installations for immediate remediation. Quarantine or lock actions can occur automatically, stopping risks before they spread. Weekly metric reviews and trend analyses help identify recurring gaps, guiding future training or process improvements. This operational feedback loop keeps the endpoint management ecosystem healthy, accountable, and constantly improving, exactly the kind of ongoing oversight that SOC 2's operational criteria are designed to verify. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. When an employee leaves the company or a device is retired, offboarding and decommissioning procedures ensure no lingering access remains. Remote wipe capabilities allow administrators to erase corporate data immediately upon termination or loss, preventing misuse of residual credentials. All user accounts tied to the device must be revoked from directory and identity systems to ensure full separation. Hardware should be recovered physically when possible, and if not, a certificate of destruction should be obtained from a verified vendor. Each step wipe confirmation, directory removal, and asset disposition must be logged to maintain an auditable record. Proper offboarding closes the lifecycle loop, transforming what could be a vulnerability into an assurance of control integrity.
Incident handling for endpoints follows the same structured discipline as any broader security event, but with added focus on containment at the device level. When a device is suspected of compromise, immediate isolation from the network prevents further spread. Forensic preservation comes next, capturing memory dumps, disk images, and relevant logs for root cause analysis. After remediation, re-imaging ensures the endpoint returns to service with a clean baseline. Incident records should detail every step from detection to closure, linking the lessons learned directly into updated MDM compliance rules or security policies. This continuous improvement process ensures that each incident strengthens rather than weakens the organization's overall resilience. Bring your own device (BYOD) policies must strike a careful balance between flexibility and control. Personal devices accessing corporate systems must meet defined minimum security requirements, including encryption, MDM enrollment, and remote wipe consent. Employees should formally acknowledge these expectations as a condition of access. BYOD devices typically receive limited access, restricted to low-risk applications such as email or collaboration platforms rather than core production systems. User consent forms and device compliance records provide proof of enforcement. This approach respects personal privacy while still ensuring that corporate data never resides on unmanaged or unprotected hardware. Vendor and sub-service provider device practices are often overlooked, but they represent an essential extension of the organization's risk perimeter. Contractors, service providers, and managed IT partners must adhere to equivalent endpoint and MDM standards. When vendors use their own equipment, contracts should specify encryption, patching, and monitoring expectations. Virtual workspace solutions, such as secure desktops or browser isolation, can provide compliant alternatives when vendor hardware cannot be fully managed. Onboarding audits verify these controls are implemented, while ongoing monitoring ensures adherence throughout the engagement. Including such clauses in vendor agreements helps close third-party gaps that could otherwise undermine SOC 2 assurance. Metrics and key risk indicators, KRIs, provide insight into how effectively the endpoint program functions over time. The percentage of devices that are encrypted and compliant serves as a leading indicator of overall security hygiene. Patch compliance rates show whether automation and user cooperation are achieving timely updates. The number of endpoint-related incidents measures reactive efficiency, while average remediation time highlights operational agility. These metrics are reviewed during security governance meetings, providing visibility into trends and enabling early course correction. When tracked consistently, they transform compliance reporting into actionable intelligence, showing whether the endpoint environment is stable, improving, or at risk. Audit evidence for endpoint and MDM controls is both technical and procedural. Auditors expect to see MDM reports demonstrating enrollment coverage, screenshots confirming encryption and patch compliance, and exports showing configuration enforcement. An up-to-date inventory list, complete with ownership and security status, serves as the backbone of the audit packet. EDR logs and incident response tickets provide proof of ongoing monitoring, while policy acknowledgement records confirm user awareness. Together, these artifacts show that the endpoint program functions continuously, not just during audit season. Strong evidence demonstrates maturity, proof that the controls are more than policy statements. They are operational realities. Automation is the force multiplier that makes endpoint security scalable across distributed teams. Integrating MDM platforms with HR joiner and leaver workflows ensures devices are automatically provisioned or deprovisioned as employment changes occur. Automated patching and compliance reporting reduce manual overhead, while real-time alerts detect missing agents or configuration drift. Linking these metrics to centralized dashboards enables continuous oversight by security, IT, and compliance teams. Automation not only reduces human error, but also ensures consistent policy enforcement across thousands of devices. In SOC 2 terms, it demonstrates operational effectiveness through repeatable, verifiable processes, essential evidence of a mature control environment. Despite best intentions, many endpoint programs stumble over predictable pitfalls. Unmanaged or orphaned devices that remain active after users depart can silently undermine access control. Encryption or patch policies that exist on paper but lack enforcement mechanisms create a false sense of security.
BYOD environments often fall outside visibility entirely if enrollment is not mandatory. The solution lies in unifying endpoint governance under strict automation mandatory MDM enrollment, real-time agent health checks, and automated lockouts for noncompliance. By eliminating manual dependencies, organizations ensure their endpoint posture remains intact even as workforce size, geography, and device diversity expand. Cross-framework alignment helps maximize the return on endpoint security investments. Controls that protect devices under SOC 2 can be mapped directly to ISO 27001 Annex 8 on asset management and CIS Control 1, which focuses on inventory and authorized devices. Within SOC 2, these same activities reinforce C6, logical access, C7, system operations, and the confidentiality category. Evidence from MDM reports and patch management dashboards can often be reused across frameworks, saving time and strengthening consistency. Documenting these mappings in the compliance repository not only simplifies audits, but also shows external reviewers that the organization's control structure is holistic and efficient. As endpoint programs evolve, their maturity can be traced through clear stages. Early implementations rely on manual patching, spreadsheets, and reactive fixes. The next stage introduces automated enforcement and self-remediation, allowing devices to correct non-compliance autonomously. More advanced systems apply predictive analytics, scoring endpoint risk based on behavioral data and historical trends. At full maturity, organizations implement unified zero-trust endpoint management, integrating identity, network, and device signals into a single adaptive security fabric. This maturity curve mirrors the broader evolution of cybersecurity governance, where visibility and automation replace manual oversight as the engine of continuous trust. Governance provides the structure that holds all these practices together. An endpoint security team should be explicitly accountable for fleet health, with defined escalation paths for recurring or unresolved issues. Monthly compliance reports track progress, while quarterly program reviews assess effectiveness against established KPIs. This rhythm ensures accountability, transparency, and continuous improvement. Clear ownership also prevents diffusion of responsibility, a common pitfall in distributed teams where device management tasks overlap across departments. When governance is well defined, auditors, executives, and employees alike know exactly who safeguards the integrity of the endpoint fleet. In conclusion, endpoint and MDM controls are the connective tissue of distributed security, ensuring that no matter where employees work, data remains protected. Encryption, patching, access control, and monitoring collectively create a consistent layer of defense across all devices. Automation ensures these controls operate at scale, while governance guarantees they remain accountable and measurable. Offboarding rigor, vendor oversight, and metrics-driven management further close the loop on endpoint assurance. Together, they form the backbone of SOC 2's operational confidence in a mobile, remote, and ever-changing workplace. The next frontier will focus on expanding these controls to remote work ecosystems and contractor environments, ensuring trust extends seamlessly beyond traditional corporate boundaries.